What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another live Thursday. It's been a couple weeks. That's my fault. How's my hair look? Looking all right. Looking all right. Is my hat on straight? Nope. Okay. What's going on, everybody? What's new? If you didn't know, I took a impromptu trip back to Oklahoma to visit some family. It was a good trip. And I'm still recovering, man. What up, Andrew? Good to see you, my man. Sean? Man, it takes forever to, recover from these long drives. Kamar, Wendell, good to see you guys. So I'm tired. And I've got so much to get caught up on. Hey, FXSTI. Welcome back. Yeah, so I got a lot to do. Got a lot of wiring to do. Hey, Josh. Got the adapters in for the transmission swap. I'll tell you what's been getting me as of late, thanks to Matt Sanford. Thanks to Matt. Man, I've been just so stuck in ChatGPT world. Has anybody messed with ChatGPT? It's mind-blowing. It is absolutely, listen, I played around with it a while back, and it was real gimmicky. It was just kind of like a search engine on crack. But now it's like, whoa, this tool is pretty freaking awesome. Let me see. Let me pop open a window. Maybe we'll play around with that until people start spitting out questions. And I'll do a video on this as far as using this to assist in tuning, which is crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. You're so crazy. Oh, hey, thanks, Shane. Let's just do this. We'll make it easier. There you go. There you go. Shane, you're a moderator now. Now we got 2 or 3 moderators. Andrew's always here, unless he's got stuff going on with the kiddos. What up, Danny? And I've got a couple memberships to give away, but we'll give it some time. Let's check this out. This is crazy. It's crazy. Look at all this stuff that I was plugging into this today. Here's the crazy thing. Somebody give me an injector. Somebody give me any injector. I've not tried out Grok 3. De La Soul. Okay, Snake Eater 1100s. Still working on the wiring. As I said, I've been gone for a couple weeks. So let's do, generate injector data for an E38 ECU for Snake Eater 1100s. Look at this. This is awesome. This is awesome. Now it gets even better. Okay. Yes. Now we want to take that, export it to Excel. And this stuff has just been blowing my mind. Now, there's a couple things. There's a couple things involved where you've got to talk to this thing in like a specific way so it understands what you're trying to do. And you can pull data logs in. Okay, so right away, So here we go. Notice our flow rate table is not correct. But check this out. Here's our offset versus volts, short pulse adder, and injector limits. So now I'm going to say flip the offset versus volts table and the, what was the other one? Anybody remember off the top of their heads? The short pulse adder, because we want it to match up. Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong thing. And the short pulse adder tables and export. But we'll do the FICs also, and I'll show you something else that's cool. Okay, so here we've got our new data. So let's do this one. Open up a new window. Did I download the other one? Oh, it didn't do it. What are you doing to you're making me look like an idiot. Okay, so it flipped the short pulse adder, but it did. Oh, yeah, I messed up and flipped that one, didn't I? I should have had it flip the flow rate versus pressure. But so let's do it this way. We'll go even one step deeper for the FIC 850s. So let's come in here and let's start a new chat. Okay, so I'm going to yep, close that because, oh yeah, I guess I do have an interface. So we will come in here. Let's open up how about 2010 Denali 6.2. So I'm going to come over to the fuel. Watch this. So we're going to do print screen. Grab a picture of that. So now I'm going to paste this picture in. Boop. Okay. Give me FIC 850. Oops. FIC 850 injector data for the above layout. Likely for an E38 or similar. Boop, boop, doo, 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 doo. Oh, no, Andrew, you can do that. You can do that. That's what I'm saying. So, export. And I'll show you how to do that real quick. Because the cool thing about it is, as I was generating some VE error tables, then having it use prediction to fill in data spots that weren't captured. Okay, so here's our new one. So we got our flow rate. Our flow rate versus volts, offset versus volts, short pulse adder. Flow rate here is not very good, but here's the thing about this. So now, if I come over to our editor and I open up our flow rate versus pressure, I'll take a screenshot of that table. I'm going to paste that in. Oh, not print. Derp. Paste. Let's do populate this table for the injectors. This is so great. Watch this whenever it spits this out. We won't open it up. So here we go. Here's our new FIC table. So let's do flip the table horizontally. There you go. So we can come in here and we can literally just copy it directly out of here. Boop. I think. I don't know. I've actually not tried to copy it straight from here. I wonder if it'll work. We may have to export it. Yeah, we gotta export it. Okay. So now that we've got that, export. And we'll do a log file here in a second. I'll show you how to do a log file. Okay, so we'll save that, open that, and here's our new injector flow rate table. Obviously, if you're doing this, verify your numbers up here. We want to make sure that we're like 128, 148, 168, etc., etc. 128, 148, 168. We go over to the right, 728, 748, 768. We'll make sure those match up. Where'd you go? $728, $748, $768. It's behind the chat, but it does line up. And boom. There we go. We've got our new injector data. Is that crazy? Like, am I overselling this, or is it just freaking mind-blowing? Yes, the human is going to be required for a long time. I mean, there's really no way of getting the human out of this process. So let's open the scanner up and take a look at, let me find a log. Let's see. Oh, and by the way, for those, I've had a couple people that did not know this, but if you forgot to save a log. Oh, by the way, here's a little spoiler here. Look up here. What does that say? 2024 Chevrolet 2.7 liter L4. I may have gotten something that has a 2.7 liter. Oh, we're talking about using ChatGPT. So if you forgot to save a log, you can come into VCM Scanner, and every log is automatically saved that you've taken. And there's a date code and all that stuff. Yes, always back up the base file, obviously, because if you apply this stuff and something funky happens, you want to be able to roll back. So we've got a log here. This is out of the Super Auto. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this log file as a CSV file. There's some old exports, so let's do ChatGPT export. And this is where it gets a little bit funky, and I'll tell you why. So we come in here, we're going to upload from the computer. Let's go back into HP Tuners, VCM Scanner, logs, and let's do star.csv. Okay, so there's our chat GPT. There's another way, you know, if you do a drop down and it's all files, you can do star.the extension and it'll just show you files with that extension. Old school shortcut. So now that we've got this loaded up, and granted, some of this has already been trained by me. It's learned what I've wanted. So it's like, what would you like me to do for this file? Analyze, visualize the data. So let's do generate an error table. Boop, boop, boop. And it's going to go through and look at all of it. And it's going to be like, see, and this is the thing. Like, whenever you go through this, sometimes you have to tell it what the stuff is. Can you confirm the column names? Yes. And if that's the case, what you have to do is then open up the file and let it know. Oh, keep on clicking on the wrong thing. I moved my window. What's going on? What did I do? Okay, so here's our log file. Why is this? Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong thing again. Let me straighten our window back out here. Just fit. Go to the middle. Yeah, close enough. Okay, which column corresponds to wideband EQ or AFR? So we'll come in here. We're looking for our EQ ratio. There's our commanded. EQ. And the pain is that these are not in the same order as they are on the scan. So if we come in here and I find my EQ ratio, which is all the way at the bottom, it's not going to be second from the bottom most likely, because I could come all the way over here and you can see it's actually, is it this one? It's this one. Let's expand this out. Okay, so I'm going to tell it that column AR, column AR is the wideband and EQ ratio. And it learns over time. There you go. So I've got it set up so it can learn. And as I do more stuff, yes, you can. You can tell the names are in row 16. It already knows that, which is crazy. Commanded EQ. Okay, so let's do what you said. Search row 16 for the channel names. Okay, and see, here's where it comes into some issues, but it works through those issues. There we go. Now we've got our wideband. Now we've got our commanded EQ. It's found that from row 16. And it'll, as I said, the more that you tell it that, it will learn this. And so after a while, it won't have to look it up. So what are we looking at now? Okay. Seems the exact column names have slight variation formatting issues. And the reason that is because I've not opened up a global A file before. I've opened up E38s and P01s and stuff like that. And so it recognizes the channel name. And I doubt that I've opened one up that's an AEM 304110. So it doesn't know until now that this is our EQ for this one. So, RPM... Which numeric column can... Come on. I thought I gave you commanded already. Did I not? Where did I say commanded was? That's going to be U. So... Commanded EQ ratio is in column Q. And we can go ahead and do RPM is in column... We need RPM and map. RPM's probably close to the front. Column B. Manifold air pressure intake is in column E. Okay, so B, help me remember this. B is RPM, E is map. RPM is in column B. Map is in column E. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Uh-oh, I messed something up here. Wideband EQ is in column 43. Commanded EQ 16. RPM is in 1. Map is in 4. I now generate an EQ table, air table, using these corrected indexes. Yeah, and so you can see that this is not right. Okay, so let's do this. So open the editor back up. This is where you have to have some nuance in it. And so I'm going to come into the archive. And let's see, where's the Super Auto at? Here, we'll just grab one of these. And I'm going to open up our VVE table. And here's the thing, is like, we need this in pressure ratio, so we're going to have to work with it that way also. But now I will grab a screenshot. Didn't quite get that one good. You want to make sure that you have your headers and stuff in there so it can tell what you're logging. We'll take this down to 172. And we'll paste that in. Generate error for this table layout. Here we go. Let's see if it does any good. This is where it gets cool, though. Okay. Something is still wonked up. Honestly, though, I probably should look at... Oh, well, this is an idle log. This is an idle log. That's why. So, there's no data outside of idle. This is a bad log. Literally, it is saying that this is the only error. So, here's the cool thing. So, let's do this. Extrapolate for missing cells. Which this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea because we don't necessarily want to extrapolate just from 2 cells of data. Yeah, exactly. There was not enough data. So, okay, here we go. It switched the way that it extrapolates, and this data is junk. This is a bad log to plug into this. But here's the cool thing, though. So now we can do visualize. Lean, rich. Yeah, terrible log. I mean, I can try it with a different log if you guys are interested in seeing more of it. I know I'm just kind of on a rant here talking about this stuff. It's up to you guys. I don't want to bore you guys. And Andrew, to your question earlier about the neural networking, that's one of the things that I've been working on to get this thing to output error data correctly on neural networking. My process is pretty good, but I think this could improve the process for generating error because cam position is so important whenever you're talking about the neural networks. So... By the way, I got rid of the Silverado. I downsized. Well, and that's the thing is like, I need to plan this out better. Obviously, opening up this log file was a bad idea. I wanted to grab one that wasn't super big. Like, here we go. Whew, look at this terrible timing. This is a better looking log file. So we'll do the export. Here's the big thing when you export, you gotta do CSV. You can do entire visible. Visible is just gonna be based on the size of your slider down here. And then I do interpolate data gaps. All it's gonna do is run an interpolation line. So let's do ChatGPT export to... So let's look at what it can tell us about this one. So I'm just going to start a new one. And we will upload from the computer. And once again, star.csv. So we only see our CSV files. We'll just go ahead and send it. And here's the thing is if you just uploaded an export like this, it's not going to know what to do with it. I've had to tell it. Like, it's popping up this stuff here. Okay, here you go. So, the file uses standard HP tuners format. Row 16, channel names. Row 17, units. Row 20 is the start of the actual data. That is because of stuff that I've been doing in the background. As I said, it learns from what I'm asking. So, okay, it's saying that the limiter wasn't recognized. It's recompiling it, going through all this stuff. Okay. So let's do, okay, visualize the EQ error for this log file. And it said, take all this with great, there we go, it created a scatter plot for us. So the colors represent error, with red indicating richer than commanded and blue indicating leaner than commanded. This tune was pretty lean. Would you like to visualize, would you like this visual bend into a VVE style table? Let's do the VVE style table. And there's other cool stuff that you can do after it does this. Like you just gotta kind of play around with it. Oh, interesting. This is trying to use Python. Okay, so here's our table. And we can actually jump over and look at an error table. We're at 1,000 RPMs at 0.19, 12% lean. So if we jump over and where it's actually showing that we're 12% rich, but we're in the right area, 1,020. That's what we were here, pretty close. So now I'm going to tell it, I want to extrapolate, then smooth the data. And it's going to make it bigger. It's going to make a bigger error table than what we get, or it's going to break. It didn't extrapolate very much. Lower pressure regions didn't capture. No. Would you like me to fill? Yes. Yes. Fill it in. Right, Woot? Look, and see, it went a little bit crazy here. Now it has filled every cell on this thing. But let's go ahead and let's export and look at it in Excel, and let's apply it. See what happens. Would you like to generate a correction factor table? I don't think that we need the correction factor table. I think we can just do this. So this is our percentages. We're rich. It's telling us to take fuel out basically across the board. It's probably the extrapolation method here is not the best, I will say. But let's go ahead and grab all the data. The first thing we need to do, though, is verify that our column and row. So we're 468, because I have a sneaking suspicion that edit. So, oh, sorry, didn't get all the way. 10, 13, 16, 19. Does that line up? 10, 13. Okay, so it does. So we can just grab this whole table. And I'm not telling you to do it this way by any means. I'm just showing you guys some crazy stuff you can do. I would not necessarily extrapolate the data to completely fill out the table. And we'll do pay special, multiply by percentage, and look at our new table. As you can see, this is a 2-bar setup that has not been tuned out past 1.0. This is after I took the supercharger off the truck. So there's our changes made in there. We'll calculate it. Pretty darn close. Pretty darn close. So here's a cool one, though. So I'm going to show you something really cool. So we're in fuel oxygen sensors. I'm going to take a screenshot of this table. Everything that's basically available here. And it helps to let it know. So I'll look at it and say we're on an E92. We can close this. Close this. Don't save. Okay. I just installed long tube headers on a 5.3 liter engine with the E92 ECU. I want to update the closed loop parameters to compensate for the relocation of the narrow band air fuel sensors. And I'll go ahead and paste in my screenshot. Okay, installing long tube headers on 5.3 liter engine with the E92 typically causes delay in the O2 sensor signal reaching the PCM due to increased distance from the exhaust ports. To compensate this, maintaining accurate fuel trims, you'll want to adjust the closed loop O2 settings, specifically the O2 switching thresholds and delay parameters. Based on your screenshot, here's what I recommend updating. So, adjust the Richelieu switch points, delay, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So, here's the thing. Would you like me to generate an O2 versus ECTE? Yes. So, generate the new tables and export to a PDF checklist. Shane. Exactly. He's a flaying student, needs another 210 CT. I'm going to plug my phone up. Ask AI how to do it. Print screen, De La Soul. Print screen. I'm trying to remember. They also make other applications and stuff like that. Man, it's really struggling with this one. And sometimes they'll do this. Okay, so here's our PDF. And so I will tell it, we'll go ahead and download this PDF. Here we go. So here's everything that I need to change. Or it's telling me to change. Oh. Where'd you go? Come back. So now I can say export and flip vertical tables to be horizontal. One Leg Nick, I just bought a 2012 Suburban with a Blueprint 376 530 with less than 1,000 miles. I've never tuned anything, and I just found your videos 2 weeks ago. One Leg Nick, thank you for stopping by the live show, man. We're doing some crazy stuff right now. We're doing some just flat out craziness. Okay. So we've got two tables in particular it wants us to look for. The O2 delay versus ECTE. So, do we have an O2 delay versus ECTE? Probably not. I don't think that. Okay. So, here's our delay table. -40 to 306. And see, it didn't go out far enough, but we can kind of get an idea. So, we'll copy that one in. And paste. We can fill in these last ones. That seems interesting. It put a much bigger delay in there. Not going to really affect much other than to keep long-term or to keep fuel trims off longer, give it more time. And then let's look at our delay versus RPMs. See if we can find that one. I don't think we have a delay versus RPMs table. That one I do not think. So, but here's the cool thing. I'm going to grab these. I want to do it through these parameters. The proportional and integral, which everybody struggles with. Can these tables be adjusted for better closed loop operation? Can and often should be adjusted. So, But instead of going through all this stuff, because it's telling us kind of what to do, what we'll do then is we'll take the actual table and we'll do the same thing. We're just going to grab a screenshot. What settings should I use here? Here's our new settings. And it tells us why. That's the cool thing. Not only does it tell us what we should change it to, suggested, for long tube headers on E92 ECU, recommended adjustments, it says why. Lower values at low airflow prevents overcorrection due to sensor delay. Moderate rise through mid-range ensures proper correction under load, or since data is more representative. And then taper down at higher airflow reduces aggressiveness at wide open throttle, where closed loop operations is often disabled because we're in PE. Legend Hero, that's a great question. He asks, when should you decide on closed loop or open loop? You know, obviously, depending on the older ECUs and stuff like that, Gen 3, Gen 4, even to a lesser extent, Global A, we want to tune in open loop. We don't want closed loop messing with it. Now, Global B is a different beast. It works a lot better in closed loop, even with narrow bands. And I will say that in 2024, GM started using wide bands. You're going to get wide bands in about everything if you've got a 24 or later platform on there from the factory. So if you're looking at a newer vehicle, 24 GM, hook the scanner up before you buy a wideband. See if you're populating wideband data. Dodge and Ford are different. Ford's been using widebands a lot longer. I can't tell you what the cutoff year was on Fords. I don't do enough Ford stuff. I mean, might do some more Ford stuff now that I got ChatGPT over here giving me a hand. Export. I need to set this up to where it just opens instead of saving. So here we go. Here's our new table. 0816 is base 8 is essentially. And this is, oh, here we go. Is this the right one? No, this is the wrong table. Did I open the wrong table? Closed loop proportional base, E92. Oh, it's over here on the other window. My bad. Doop. Here we go. Okay, 0816. There's our new values. Literally, copy, paste, and we're done. And we can walk through all the different tables. O2 error, ECTE multiplier limit, airflow mode, integral delay. These are going to change the reaction time and how aggressive the O2 reaction is on the stock setup. Yeah, exactly. What the difference between open and closed loop is? Closed loop is whenever you have the narrow bands assisting in capturing fuel trims. So if we come in here and look at this, we'll have short terms. This is off. If we've got zeros, it's off. We should have zeros in long term if we have zeros in short terms. Well, here's short terms on. So this is saying with short terms on, we're running lean here. And honestly, that data is bunk because this is at 400 RPM, so I wouldn't even look at that. But if we open up a log file and a lot of this data is populated, you know, we know that the short terms are affecting our fueling. That's why we don't want them on whenever we're tuning. We want to go to open loop. So these are all zeros. And this table's not jacking with our error ratio. So if we come in and look at our error ratio, here's our error for this. MAF is 10, 12% rich across the board. But because of this, there is some data being pulled out of it. And why I say is Global B, you can mix the two together and get pretty good results. But on third, fourth, and fifth gens, you really can't. See you, Andrew. What would be a sign that you need to change your proportional O2 table? So one of the big things, great question, by the way, TJ, good to see you. Make sure you go back and watch this video from the first TJ. You'll love it. One of the big things is like long tubes totally screw up your closed loop operation. So if you're looking at, say you're at idle, I like checking it at idle, seeing what my wideband's reading. So we'll come over here to idle, which this thing is idling very low. And it's saying we're taking 1% out because we're rich in this cell. And we'll look, and you'll see it's only taking 1% out, but we're super rich. We're 10% rich. This truck had long tube headers on it. It's not lining up. In closed loop, specifically at idle and cruising, after all of this is taken out, your actual wideband reading should be, say we're logging EQ at 1 plus or minus 0.02 or 3 at the most. So that's the big thing. If you think you're done with your tune and you put closed loop back into play and you're cruising, and suddenly, say whenever you were in open loop, everything looks great. You're hitting your targets, your error is less than 3% or something. And then you put closed loop back on and suddenly now your error is 6 or 7%. That's a good indication that your narrowband closed loop system is skewing everything because it thinks this is where it needs to be switching at. And I'll be honest with you, one of the big ones is up here at the top, we've got our rich versus lean stuff. So what I'll do here, let's just grab this, take a screenshot of that. Here's the cool thing. So I'm going to put this in. I'm going to say, explain to me how these tables work. So, look at it. So, our min rich lean, default 450 millivolts. This is the starting point for the voltage range where the PCM begins deciding whether the mixture is rich or lean, often used as a neutral reference. You generally leave this at 450. Now, whenever we have long tubes, that's not always the case. This may have to be changed. But it explains what all of these are. So, during closed loop operation, ECU constantly monitors the O2 voltage. Signal is between max lean, max rich. It maintains our fine-tuned fueling. It switches. It's never, your narrow bands are always clicking above or below, you know, that threshold, which is at, and here's the cool thing. Max lean says lower slightly, 300, 325 for the long tubes. If we're looking for 450, it's expecting the voltage to go between 400 and 500 millivolts. And it should be oscillating. If it's not oscillating, it's either rich or lean if it's above or below that 450. So, and that's why narrow bands aren't good for tuning. So 450, and even at 450, as I said, we're bouncing above and below it. We're above it, you know, we're rich, we're below it, we're lean. And it doesn't matter. Like it says here, this is lower limit for lean condition, 350. If you go below 350, it doesn't matter how far you go below 350. It just says that you're lean. And what happens then is the closed loop system starts adding fuel, a couple percent or a percent at a time to that cell, that individual cell that we're looking at. So in this case where we're 12% rich, it worked up to 12%. Now, all the long terms do is as this settles out, it starts transferring that data over to our long-term data. Our long terms are off in this case, but say we get to 12%, and at 12% it starts switching at that 450, and it's doing what it's expecting to, then it starts moving this data over to the long-term fuel trims. And ideally, it gets captured in long-term, and this value then becomes 0 in short terms. Next time you fire the vehicle up, air pressures, barometric pressure, all that stuff's changed, temperatures change. It has to make compensations for all that. And it starts changing this number. Now, say suddenly, instead of being negative 12 here, we're 2. We're 2% lean. Well, it's going to start pulling the data out of this cell where it has populated in the long term. until it hits the point where it's back to that switching point. Now that 450, while it may be ideal in stock configurations, as you can see for the MaxRich default 550, it says suggested 600 for long tubes, and that's to compensate for the delay. Long tube headers, they're delayed, less responsive, so this value might need widening, and it tells you all that stuff. But as I said, the cool thing about it is if you have any questions on what a... No, don't tune your mouth with narrow bands. It's just a bad idea. Proportional is just the speed, correct. Proportional is... Okay, so proportional is gain. Think of it as gain, G-A-I-N. And so it's the size of change. And then the integral is... integral is the... called reset, but is the period, the time period in which it can collect data for the proportional change to happen. That gets real deep into PID tuning. Great questions. Oh, it'd be super easy. So, Aaron, using this, we can do it a great example. Specifically, so we're going to go... Well, integral is the reset period when it comes to PID tuning, Shane. We want to do... I have 50-pound flex fuel injectors from a 4th gen GM vehicle that I want to install on a P01 PCM. Generate the needed tables. So here's our required injector data tables for the P01. Since these are 50 pounds per hour flexible injectors, often LMGs or LY6, see, it finds the correct data. We got 50 pounds at 58 PSI. Linear fuel system assumed. P01 operates at 58, no return style pressure reference, constant delta pressure. So here's the big thing. No return style pressure reference. It's got to be a pressure reference system in this case. P59 is close enough. You can see here though. But here is your flow data. And then it says, you can also set this as a flat 50 if using a boost reference return style fuel system. But here's your data. Here's your injector offset. Here's your short pulse adder. Minimum injector pulse width. Bingo. Yeah, but I just did what you did instantaneously. It's awesome. And the thing about it is specifically in situations like this where it's using known data, it can generate good data. If the data is wonky, it's the whole theory of bad data in equals bad data out. So as long as we've got good data in, it can do this. And in fact, I think O04 Mini is the free version. If you were to go in, is the free version. I think the O04 Mini would be fine for this. Now, I will tell you the O04 Mini, I've got the paid version. The O04 Mini has a little bit of an issue figuring out what is going on with data logs. And so that's why I said I've done this in the past and it's been kind of gimmicky and not really worthwhile. And I've not even really messed with the research preview. This will be the next version that rolls out 4.5. Then 4.0 will probably become the free version. But which table formatting is it forgetting? Because I can ask it for that that table, TJ. Like, that's the thing, is it'll generate any table that you need. Hey, a buddy of mine sent his ECM to be tuned. 2011 Yukon DOD delete and cam swap. His truck now just eats fuel, even driving easy. Should that happen when DOD delete is done? No. No, something is wrong. My guess is, I mean, it depends on the cam, like how aggressive the cam is. Because if the cam's aggressive, obviously it's going to require more airflow and so it's going to require more fuel. But at the same time, if they dumped a tune in without actually looking at it, it's probably overly rich and needs properly tuned De La Soul. Here are the required injector data tables, TJ. It's telling me that these are the only 5 tables that it needs to do the correct injector data on a P01. Yeah, TJ's right. Like, the fact they sent the ECM to be tuned in means they dumped a can tuned in it, and so they probably have a general tune for this DOD delete and cam swap for this cam. Say it's a Texas speed, yada yada yada. They've, hopefully they've tuned 5 or 6 of them. They're just copying the data over. But that is not a tune per se. I mean, hopefully he didn't pay much more than $150 or $200 for that, because if he did, he got hosed. Okay, let's go back. We have ran long talking about this topic, and it is super hot in my office. Oh yeah, I've got some memberships to give away. Let's do that. Do you pay big bucks? Man, what a crock. Let's give away. To receive free memberships, you need to go over on the website. You can't do it through your phone, as far as I know, unless they've updated that. I've got 178 headers. I think 3-inch collector cat going 2.5-inch cat back is a ways to go to 3-inch. Ooh, that's hard to tell, Bernard. Honestly, like, especially on your setup, because you're on a turbo, right? Hey, Kamar, nice. Congrats. TJ, how did you... Oh, I was like, TJ, how did you get another membership? It's Thomas Thompson. At least one person in here got it. Oh, speaking of which, who won the last Summit gift card? Are you guys in here? I've got your wife. I think your wife's name was Hillary. I don't think I saw you. I've got your gift card, but I've tried to email your wife and it won't go through. Oh, on a 6.2 with Magnuson, you're probably not going to get a huge amount out of going to a 3-inch on that setup. Turbos are where the exhaust really makes a big difference. Yeah, exactly. It's the big thing is like you can do, I call them can tunes. It's the old mentality of like the Diablo tuners and stuff like that, where you bought one and it's like, oh, I've got stock tune and a stage 1 tune that's like an intake and exhaust or something like that, and it bumps stuff in there, and it's Offset versus Volts was on there. Would you lose bottom end torque? No. Not with a blower. Not with a Maggie, man. Maggie makes all the torque on the face of the planet. You're at that point in time, your exhaust literally is kind of negligible whenever you're talking about putting a blower on something. So I wouldn't worry about it, Bernard. Oh. I would be fine going from a 3-inch collector cat to a 2.5, because the cat's going to be more restrictive than the 2.5-inch cat back. You know? Yeah, Shane speaks the truth, man. I guess both of us speak the truth in this case. Like, oh yeah, as I said, I got rid of my Silverado. No more Whipple Silverado. I bought a Colorado. I'm absolutely in love with it. Oh, I bet it does. I bet it does. Yeah, I'm absolutely in love with my new Colorado. I say new. It's a 24. Had 7,000 miles on it. Not that and I'll tell you why. And this is something that's mind blowing to me. So with the Whipple, I was getting 16, 18 miles per gallon on a good day, maybe 19 on flatland, on 93 octane. So I got the Colorado. It has the max turbo, whatever, turbo max motor in it. The little 2.7 that makes 430 foot-pounds of torque on 87 octane. 87 octane. The thing runs like 20 psi a boost on 87 octane, makes 430 foot-pounds of torque out of a 2.7 liter. How does that work? Oh, the cam was a stock grind and DOD delete. Man, in that case, De La Soul, you should literally just be able to go in there and disable DOD and variable cam. And the rest of it should be close enough that it'd be fine. Dude, Shane, that Whipple tune sucks. It's terrible. At least on the Global B stuff. Like, I've dug through it and it's just like head scratching, like what is going on with it. There's a lot more to be gained by doing a custom tune on the Whipple. Like, if you're getting the Whipple, like, I would pay somebody to tune it. Buy the tuner variation that doesn't come with the tune, and then spend the money to have somebody tune it. I would suggest Brandon Lieb over at Elite Tuned. He is a Global B genius. I'm getting there. But I still have to ask him questions. I didn't buy this one. I traded it, TJ. Well, you're right, Woot. There's a lot more to be done. Yeah. The update, like, I've gone through, granted it was on a 6.2 liter. I've dug through it and just, it had all kinds of drivability issues. And the thing about it is, unless they've updated it lately, Shane, the thing about it is, these are known issues on Global B platforms. Schmidt says, does it make sense I raised my wide open throttle shift from 6,200 to 64 and picked up 37 real wheel horsepower? Schmidt, look at a data log of there and look at how much airflow is being produced from 62 to 6,400 on a well-flowing motor. I mean, that's a lot. On a well-flowing motor, maybe, which makes me wonder what's it going to do at 7,000 because it's obviously not peaking over yet. Interesting. Saw a video where Ferrari was using 1060 on a racetrack, but recommending 530 to customers with Ferraris on the road. That's some thick oil on the track, but I guess they're expecting a lot more heat in the motor, so it would make sense. Ooh, that's a big step up in cylinder air mass. That's a big step up in cylinder air mass. I would be more interested to see the actual, that's air mass, if it's in grams per second. I'd be interested to see, no, Mark, I 1,000% think you're right. That's why you're getting O20 in all the new vehicles. And that's one of the reasons why there's a recall on all the new 6.2 liters and why they're replacing it with 1030. It's all fuel economy. I think thinner oil, change it out, run 1030, 530, something like that. There's no reason to be running 020 or whatever. Okay, we got wrap it up. Have to go back a few videos. You were talking about delete and transmission things to do. I don't remember De La Soul. It's been too long ago. But listen, everybody, great crowd tonight. Thanks for watching. If you came in late, go back and watch this whole one. It's very interesting. Jesse, you're my last question. Factory E38. Thinned out the factory harness going to 68C10. I found conflicting info about drivability running manual transmission on this auto ECU. Will it work? You need to do a E38. You should be able to do a segment swap to a manual OS. It's just going to be very mad because it's going to be expecting parameters from the TCM that does not exist. TJ, are you still in here? Can you E38? He should be able to segment swap a manual into that, right? Worst case scenario, Jesse, you would have to just write an E38 tune from a vehicle that has a manual, like a Corvette. Find a Corvette with an E38 ECU that had a manual transmission, grab the VIN number on it, jump on AC Delco Tech Connect. It sounds more daunting than it really is. So, okay. That's it for tonight. You guys know the drill. Thanks for stopping by the garage. ABT, always be tuning.